on the pain of defeat. His feet hurt.
They're embarrassed by it. We didn't play well. And so we all are. I mean, that's you surely don't want to play that way anytime, let alone at home. And we've got to do better.
Obviously, we're not going to give up. I'm not going to give up. I know our coaches aren't going to give up. And it's still a long season for us. You know, I mean, obviously, we don't want to be 2-3. That's not our expectations. But we do have a lot of football left to play. And so, you know, you kind of put these games behind you and just look forward to kind of turning the page, you know, going forward.
So the Chiefs now looking up in the AFC and seeing 10 teams ahead of them. Not ideal through 5 weeks. We got our quarterback, Mike Vick, here to break down the game from last night. Mike, good morning. You know Andy Reid better than anyone. Is it panic time for Kansas City?
I won't necessarily say it's panic time, but when you look at what happened last night, you are responsible for what you put on film. And I think the Kansas City Chiefs defense had a bunch of gaping holes in the passing game and in the run game. They got gashed all throughout the game. And, you know, those are things that you got to fix because the opponent that you face each and every week is going to try to copycat and do the same things that they saw the opposing team do to you on film. And that's just not going to go away. I think Andy acknowledged that. He knows that. And on the offensive side of the ball, I think the void is where Sammy Watkins was left off. Sammy Watkins was a big part of this offense. He was a spark on the offense, and they got to get Josh Gordon inserted very quickly. I like McCole Hardman. I like what he brings to the table, but as of right now, it just seems like the offense is stalling here and there. But more so importantly, you know, everything that they put out on film is what other teams are going to watch. That's what they're going to try to do, and they got to fix it on the defensive side of the ball. Luckily, they got some time, and it's still early in the season, and it's better late than never. But now it may be a time, if they lose one more game, where some panic start to creep in for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Well, and listen, the Chiefs are not playing just to make the playoffs, right? They're playing to try to compete for and win a Super Bowl. Right. And in addition to that, they historically have been playing for the 1 seed, the bye, and home field advantage. I don't think the 1 seed and the bye, and there's only one bye these days, are officially dead, but they're basically dead. Given the fact they still have the Packers, they still have the Cowboys, they still have the Chargers again. They have 4 games against the Raiders and Broncos. Now, I don't think the Raiders and Broncos are good, but those aren't walkover wins. Even if the Chiefs turn it around, you probably say 12-5 is the best case scenario for the end of the year record. Maybe 13-4 if they get red hot. And that's not going to be enough to get the bye when you already don't have the tiebreaker with the Chargers, the Ravens, and the Bills. So in that regard, if their plan was to be at home for Arrowhead and not have to play the first week of the playoffs, they should panic a bit. But as far as being able to start stacking victories, Vic, here's my question for you before Broussard jumps in. It was pretty obvious to me what Buffalo was doing yesterday. They were daring the Chiefs to run the football and daring the Chiefs to take short yards, and the Chiefs wouldn't take them up on it. When they played the Bills a year ago in the regular season, the Chiefs ran the ball 50 times for 250 yards. And I wonder if the reason they didn't do that again this week or last night was actually because of the defense. Was because the offense felt like we have to press because we expect our defense to give up big plays. When you were on teams with elite offenses but really shaky defenses, did the problems on the defense ever start to affect your decisions on the offensive side of the ball? Because that's what I saw last night.
Yeah, it was one season in 2011. We was in that type of predicament, and we made some changes on the defensive side of the ball with our defensive coordinator, and, you know, we felt the pressure to score points, a lot of points each and every week. We gave up almost 28 points a game, so we came into the game knowing that we had to score 31 or better. And that's just not a good feeling for the offense because it doesn't allow you to get into a natural rhythm. Now you playing because you know you got to just play. You got to keep up with the opposing team and what they're trying to do. And as they score points, you got to score, you got to match them. And it's just uncomfortable. It's never a good feeling when you just can't play and run your offense, the way you can run it. So those are things that, the Kansas City Chiefs are going to have to address, because it's not going to go away. If the defense can't get stops, if they can't create turnovers, get short fields, then the offense is always going to get put in the bind, and it's not going to be easy for them for the rest of the season. I don't care who they playing.
Well, speaking of the defense, Mike, here's how bad it's been. And Nick, we talked a week, 2 ago about, you were just saying, they've been able to overcome their poor defense in the past, but this is beyond poor. When they won the Super Bowl, they were 7th in the league in fewest points allowed. When they went to the Super Bowl the year before that, when they lost in the Super Bowl, they were 10th in fewest points allowed. Now they're dead last. They're 32nd. So they were a pretty good defense as far as points allowed back in the day, but now they're atrocious. So it's not even close to what it used to be. So that's too much probably for Mahomes to overcome and be perfect every day, every Sunday. But here's the other thing as far as how it's affecting the offense. If they had run the ball, though, theoretically, if you run the ball, you keep the other offense off the field if you can get the first downs. I think part of it is Nick, that they like big plays. Mahomes, I've called him the Steph Curry of the NFL. Awesome, all-time great player, but a bit reckless. The no-look passes like Steph. Sometimes you just do things you don't need to do. You like being flashy, and it can come back to bite you. And Tyreek Hill, Kelsey to some degree, but particularly Hill and Mahomes, they love the big plays, and so they want to get those chunk plays rather than just throwing it under. So I get that some of it's the defense, but I think some of it's their mentality too.
And it's rare that it happens, but when it does happen, I'm not afraid to say it. Patrick Mahomes played a very poor game last night. Even though the pick six was a fine pass off Tyreek Hill's hands, very early in the game, one of the only times they had a guy wide open down the field, they had Kelsey, and Mahomes just missed him. But here's the reason I pushed back on the Steph Curry stuff, is up until these last few weeks, Mahomes has never had his version of behind-the-back passing game 7 out of bounds for no reason. Mahomes last year, all year, threw 5 picks. The year before, all year, threw 6 picks. He's always been boom with almost no bust. He has the best touchdown-interception ratio in NFL history by a country mile. He's been able to do it without making the mistakes. This was another 4-turnover game for the Chiefs. You're obviously not going to win games that way. But the other thing, Mike, that happened last night was, and this is where I agree with Broussard, is the Bills were giving them layups. They could have taken the 6-yard completion with regularity, and they didn't seem to want to. Like, that was available. It wasn't just running the ball they could have done. They could have taken easy completions, but they were looking for the deep shot throughout the game, and I just felt like they played into exactly what the Bills wanted them to do. I give Leslie Frazier a lot of credit. It was like the Bills thought the Chiefs won't stay patient. They were patient on that first drive. It stalled out. They got a field goal, but they moved the ball at will, and then the Chiefs got away from it, and the game obviously totally got away from them.
Here's the thing, Nick. I think, with Andy Reid and Sean McDermott, Leslie Frazier, those guys working together in the past, you start to know each other's tendencies and what I like to do, what Andy like to do, what Leslie like to do. You know what the scheme is really all about. And then you can plan on it. They just seen each other in the AFC Championship game years ago. They practiced against each other for years. I played against Leslie Frazier, I think, in 2010 with Andy. He told me everything that they was going to try to do, and it came to life. So now, everybody's on the same page trying to combat one another and what they trying to bring to the table. So I wonder if it was a case of, Andy knowing Leslie Frazier knowing Andy and what he likes to do, knowing that they're going to try to go down the field, they're going to try to exploit and get the big plays, and they was just able to combat it. So I think that was the case too. Guys are, these guys are smart in this league, especially the coaches. They put the game plans together to shut you down and stop you, and I think that's just what happened last night.
I think that's right.
Nick, I agree with you. I mean, Mahomes obviously hadn't had the Steph Curry moment in the finals where he made the turnover, but he has gotten away with risky behavior. Let's put it that way. He's always gotten away with it, but he has made risky passes.
Yes.
And they, as a team, they get cute. Even last night with the formation where Kelsey's under the quarterback, Tyreek's under the quarterback, then Mahomes. Yeah. Like, they like to be cute, which is fine when you're getting away with it. But maybe they're not going to get away with it as much in the future.
That's right.
Right. Let me ask you this, Mike. Let me ask you this. Because last night we heard a lot of talk about the cover two and, getting pressure on Mahomes without having the blitz. That's kind of what people are starting to think is a blueprint against Mahomes. Tampa Bay did it in the Super Bowl. Why do you think, first of all, do you think that is a blueprint to make Mahomes struggle? You're not going to shut him down, but why do you think that defense, if you agree, gives him some problems?
Well, that defense is designed to just keep everything in front of you. So it's about a dink and dunk game. 5 yards here, 6 yards here, but you're not going to get anything over the top with Tyreek Hill. And that's why I think Sammy Watkins played a big part of the Kansas City Chiefs offense.